Schwee the people. Episode 2. We got Louie here. We got we got Shannon here. I'm Sean. Coming up later, we got Mike. We got Lorraine Newman. No. What's his name? Don Pardo or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so and clip. That's the intro.
Right. So, just to get this out of the way, since at this point we don't even know what topics we're gonna. So,
well, it's just a conversation,
right? But because of the last podcast and the fact that I started going on
because
about
of that disaster.
Yeah, we don't know if it's a disaster yet because we haven't uploaded.
A disaster.
Yeah, I was talking about my back problems and shit like that, right? And so I'm on Medicaid.
I don't know.
now.
It was so long ago. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Can you just rehash the whole thing again? No.
Whatever. You know, the point is. But here's RFK talking about Medicaid at the confirmation hearing.
Advantage, and I'm very happy with it. Most people who are on Medicaid are not happy. The premiums are too high. The deductibles are too high.
So yeah, I mean, you probably know something about Medicaid, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
What do you think the average premium is for Medicaid?
Out of pocket, or
Yeah.
like that the government pays? Out of pocket,
no.
it's nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the deductibles.
Yeah, nothing as far as I
Yeah,
know.
or next to nothing. Sometimes
Right.
you might, based on whatever you're making, like you could be a single, let's say you're a single mom with one kid and you qualify for Medicaid because you make under a certain amount,
Yep.
but you're not so dead broke, you might have to pay $5 for prescriptions or a $10 copay to see a doctor. I've been on it, and I pay absolutely nothing for everything.
Yeah, that's what I've.
So this-
I'm not on it, but I know people on it, and that's what I.
He
But
doesn't,
he's-
doesn't pay for medical bills. He doesn't pay for groceries. He doesn't pay for utilities. He
Right.
doesn't pay
Yeah.
rent.
You're going to get a check once I get my house. I did steal groceries one time.
You don't talk about your crimes in a recording.
They know who your cousin is.
We didn't say.
Oh, no, I didn't say his name.
We didn't say
No.
his name. We didn't say Frank Roche.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just annoying because here's a guy who's supposed to take over the, NHS?
Yes.
And would oversee, like, these major programs like Medicare or Medicaid or have some kind of say in them. And he's at he doesn't know that and he says Americans don't like Medicaid because of the premiums and the deductibles. It's like,
Yeah, no.
No, Americans hate private insurance because of the premiums and the deductibles. Anyone who gets on Medicaid loves it.
Yeah.
In fact, any doctor loves Medicaid because they're paid instantly because
It
the system
depends.
works so well.
A lot of doctors actually don't take a lot of the Medicare programs. I've
Well,
noticed.
yeah, it depends. Yeah, like they can choose not to because maybe they can only take so many patients, and they're in a. Let's say you're a doctor in Farmington Hills. How many people are going to be on Medicaid in your area?
Right.
You know what I mean? As opposed to Detroit or a suburb of Detroit, where
Right.
there's more of a likelihood that 10% of the public might be. I know for a fact that if they were to get rid of the bridge card or food stamps, I'd say 60% of all grocery stores in this country would fold because of how much they rely on it. Because, the mistaken thing is that the only people who collect some kind of like assistance are just like deadbeats not working or whatever. No, the 95% of people who collect assistance are senior citizens who are on a fixed income, single moms, people who work 40 plus hours.
It's like
So-
really, I should have been on food stamps when I was working at 7-Eleven.
Oh yeah, you probably would have
Yes.
qualified. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
But
that's
instead, like all of us working there are like super poor, and then we're like complaining about everybody else coming in to use their fucking bridge card, when like most of us working there should have been on some form of assistance ourselves.
And that's
Probably.
and that's the reason why you would qualify for that assistance is because they can say anything they want in like the public sphere, like people should only make this much or you make enough for this, but the government knows what you can get by on. They know what the facts, like what the truth is. And in fact, the economy knows what you can get by on, which is why they love demonizing Medicaid, Medicare, any kind of like public assistance. But at the end of the day, the capitalists love it because they know that they're living off of it.
Yeah, they're
Like,
gonna get paid.
What was it, like 90% of like Walmart workers? Like I think Walmart costs us $3 billion a year in fucking food assistance because they pay their employees so little. So if you want people off welfare, you just have to raise their pay a couple of dollars, and they won't qualify anymore. But they're not willing to do that either. If anything, it's the welfare is like all forms of it is the biggest assistance program for for-profit capitalists, because without it, that they wouldn't even be able to survive. Oh, that's cool. I just realized you have like a real hands watch on your phone.
Yes, I do.
Well, it's not real, but it's like a
But
digital.
yeah, it's analog looking.
Yeah.
A real hands watch.
Yes.
Yes, this watch is made out of 100%
Hand.
It's like when I write.
pure human hand.
We have a dry erase board at home, and every time I write on it, I write in cursive because nobody can
Because you're
read
an
it.
asshole.
Yeah.
Do they even still teach cursive to kids in school?
No, they stopped
Welcome
that a
to
few years
Old
ago.
Cast, where
Yeah.
we talk about how we had to learn cursive in school.
But isn't
And
necessary?
we were told how important it was to learn how to write in cursive for some reason.
And
Well, you know-
use our brains for math instead of having a calculator on us.
Like, you ever doom scroll on Facebook and then come across one of those
Never.
fucking posts where it's just like a simple math equation, but nobody understands order of operations. So that's like the big gotcha or trick is that nobody knows what fucking the order of operations is anymore.
Yeah, I know.
So you have this big retarded argument in the comments section every fucking time of people not understanding how the order of operations go in an equation.
The order of operations. You're talking about when they have like a 9 times 9 plus 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It goes
but like there's
multiplication, division.
it's-
Oh, it
addition,
does that? It
subtraction.
goes like
it's
that. Okay.
first it's everything in parentheses, and then it's like exponents, then
Proponents.
multiplication and division together, and then addition and subtraction together.
Unless you're factoring.
Like
then it starts
everything
getting
is like from
confusing.
left to right, except you have to do it in that order of operations.
Yeah, you have to factor it all out.
I was so ADHD as a kid that I do not even remember getting diagnosed.
You didn't get diagnosed the same way.
Well, I mean, like usually it's like you take a kid to a therapist or whatever.
No. I
Well,
mean,
how does
Well,
a
they do a
kid get
test,
diagnosed with? How does somebody get diagnosed with ADHD?
I'll tell you the first time I got quote unquote diagnosed, and I had a pamphlet. This is when I was trying to get on Adderall because I'm like, maybe this will help me.
How old were you?
I was still in my 30s.
Okay.
But I got a 10 question pamphlet, and I was like, yeah, I do a lot of this stuff. And they're like, okay, you're gonna have time release Adderall.
Really? That's all it took? Because
Yeah.
I didn't want to go buy them, but I took a bunch of those because I genuinely wanted to know. But I was taking ones I would find on the internet and stuff. So I don't know how much I can base it on that. But it's like...
It's a terrible diagnosis, to be honest.
When
that way.
The last time I went into urgent care for my job when I had the carpal tunnel, and then when I went into when we went to urgent care. What is that, like 2 months ago?
When I had my ear flushed,
Yeah.
And I went in for like my back or whatever.
they
Both
violated
times-
my ear,
Yeah, but
and I liked it.
did it ever stop itching?
No, it's still fucked up. Like I'll have days where there's just like a low humming, and there's I'm just like,
Maybe it
well,
needs to
I
be
guess
flushed
it's,
again.
I guess that's what I'm gonna live with now.
It's probably like it's probably takes forever to repair.
my
or
ear,
something.
my
Because
eardrum
you're-
probably got punctured.
Oh God.
So like
So
I
you
just
have
hear
an open air sound all the time.
Well, no, it's not an open air sound. It is a low hum. It is just like
But it
just
sounds
kind of in the
relaxing.
background, and then like it kind of
He
goes
just
away.
drifts off to sleep now
Like
when he's
so it's like like how you hear like the sound of silence.
Now you hear the sound of silence.
Well, yeah, but now it's louder
Yeah.
in that ear, and it's like sometimes it's noticeable, and sometimes it isn't. But like when I'm actually like listening to something or listening to music, like I won't notice
you're
it at all,
distracted.
even if it's there. But
See,
yeah,
I got like I think I'm like lost hearing in this ear. Like I had to have tubes put in my ear before, and I got an ear infection when I was like 19.
whose phone was that?
Probably mine. But but it's like the hearing is like limited enough where I put in one earbud and it'll tune out people. Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't have to have one in the other ear. But I also wonder if it helped with my singing, because people plug one ear so they
Yes.
can hear themselves
Yeah.
better.
I do that.
Yeah, and but yeah, both times I went into the urgent care, they're like, "What's wrong with you? Settle down." Blah blah blah. And, like, because my knees are always bouncing and shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like that. Like, especially if I'm like in a good mood, because
Yeah.
you're just like energetic.
I just
And-
noticed
So the
that I
bouncing
just noticed what I've
is
been
actually-
doing since we started recording this podcast.
I used to be a habitual
Yeah.
bouncer, but apparently the bouncing like that is actually like a trauma response, like
Oh, that's
unreleased
nice.
trauma in your body.
So then
From
riddle
what?
me
It could
this
be anything.
riddle me this, dear sister. Does that make you feel bad for every time you screamed at me for bouncing my leg when we were kids?
No.
Well, see, no,
It's like bouncing your leg is a trauma response, and it's like, yeah, here's more trauma for you.
Yeah.
see, now that raises questions, because you said, like, you've been diagnosed as ADHD, but the first time Sean did cocaine,
No.
two things happened.
What did I just say about
He
recording?
took a nap.
No, Sean. Yeah, his leg was bouncing like crazy, and I just
Zombie.
I think it
I
was-
went turned into a zombie,
Yes.
like that, like
Yeah.
I had the opposite effect.
See, the first time I did coke, I did 8 lines, and I was like,
Welcome to
Starting to get
I
Coke
would
Stories.
I would do coke and read a book.
yeah,
Yeah, let's
I
tell
didn't
like,
see- I
let's
was like, I
let's
don't
tell her
understand why
about the
this
first time I did coke.
but
okay?
like I had always heard stories about how addictive it is, and I'm like,
Nah.
nah.
So let's talk about the first time I did cocaine.
Yeah. So I come over here.
He comes over, and we were going to watch Spectre. So the 007. So we turn it on, and then like it's okay. I'm gonna do coke for the first time.
Yeah, I'm
so
cutting the lines up.
cuts
Yeah.
he
On
cuts
the
up a
table.
line. He cuts up a line, and then I do what
He sneezes.
I do what everybody does.
He's like going lower. I'm like, yeah, you have to get in there, plug up one nose, and he's like looking at me for direction.
Yeah, yes.
Right up on, he gets right up on the line, and then it just blows, and it just
No,
goes.
no. I didn't blow.
Well, it, like-
what I did was because I wasn't because I couldn't. I'm not used to it, so I didn't judge properly like how far away to exhale. So I just very gently exhaled, and then all the coke just flies away, and then I do this. Because I look down at it, and then I look up at Louis like this.
Yeah, he's on his knees. I'm standing over it, and when it blows, he
You
looks
owe
up.
him now, Sean.
I look at him.
Like I was gonna hit him. Like,
Yeah.
because I would have.
Well, it's because like literally every movie that I've ever seen, I'm conditioned to think that cocaine makes people violent. So now I'm like,
Not if you
is-
have ADHD, let me tell you.
is my close friend going to beat me to death?
but here's the thing: is I thought it was funny, but because I'm zombied out because
Yeah.
it's having the adverse effect on my ADHD.
Yeah.
I just went, no, that's fine. I knew you were gonna do that, but I didn't like laugh or anything
Right.
because I'm laughing internally. But
Yes.
like,
I understand completely.
Yeah, but it was like the weirdest cold
But you come out
response.
real
I knew you were
dry.
going to do that.
But that's the thing too. Like you don't realize how dry you are outside of your body.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a Mona Lisa smile. Like inside you're like, but then outside you're just.
So I managed to do the next line, and then
Without
like we're
blowing
just
it
like
away.
we're just like talking for like 20 minutes, and then he goes, "You feel it yet?" And I go, "I don't know," but oh god, my headphones. But the entire time I'm going like this.
yeah.
Really?
It's like, so can you feel it? I don't know. I don't know if I feel anything.
Oh my god.
And then by the time we stopped talking, the movie was over and we didn't watch
Yeah.
any of it.
Yeah.
Well-
Now that sounds about.
Well, like
appropriate.
there was one point. Hold on, let me get my headphones back on. There was one point where it's like he's like, "Okay, I got to go to the bathroom." So I am sitting over there, and he is at the bathroom door, and we proceed to talk for another hour and a half.
Was that when I was like gonna leave?
No, that was when you were going to the bathroom.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
you were just standing there holding it in for an hour and a half
Oh my
because
God,
we
no.
could not stop talking.
Yeah.
Feel like-
And I don't even remember what the fuck we were talking about.
I mean, if people can tell how we talk on this thing, it jumps.
Well,
So
Yeah,
much.
they can, well, they
anything.
can. Well, they also now they can tell that we're on kratom.
Oh, can they?
Well, they are.
Well, they know now.
We're rolling on kratom.
Yeah. Oh, kratom's legal. Kratom's great.
The right-wing girl that I mentioned in the last podcast.
Is her name kratom?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Is that even?
What?
I will name my firstborn Kratom.
Kratom. You will blend in with the humans.
It's like my my toilet joke, where it's like the urinals at work, they have like the brand name on them.
Oh yeah.
And it says Zern. So I'm just thinking like that's like the worst comic book villain name.
Yeah, Emperor's.
Where it's like
He's like,
like
"Pee
somebody
on me."
gets like super drunk and then they rush into the bathroom and then it's like, yes, kneel before Zern.
Wait, why are you getting on your knees in the bathroom for that?
To throw up into
to
the
the
toilet,
urinal.
Shannon.
The urinal.
To throw up into the urinal.
Yeah.
Your urinal? Your urinal.
I ain't getting on my knees
In the
bathroom.
beginning. No, nobody. All right.
What?
Huh?
And Louis gone.
I was looking at the stuff on the wall.
What stuff?
The pictures.
Make a fart segue. All right. It's called a run. That's 2 episodes running. It's a running joke.
Now it's the ASMR segment.
No, don't. Oh God. No.
That sounds way different with headphones on.
Yeah, it does. The face thing.
Oh, you know, I think it's Shannon's turn to come up with a topic because so far we've been.
Well, let's just talk
anything.
about. Why don't we just talk about embarrassing stories?
Okay.
Hey, anybody fart or anybody shit or piss themselves recently, like in say the past 2 weeks?
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I come home, and Sean had texted me saying, "Is the power out?" But I was out walking around or whatever.
Yeah.
And I come walking back. I'm like, "Oh, all the lights." I hear a generator, and all the lights are out. And I get home, and I'm like, "Yeah, the power's out." And so I'm trying to like find flashlights and everything. And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna chill out. I'm gonna like drink a little kratom."
Yeah, I mean, like I got
smoke
like
some cigarettes.
So I got a text at work from DTE saying that the power was out, and I'm like, what? And then like about 2 minutes after I get that text, like all the smart stuff in my house just like goes offline.
Right.
So it's like all my smart lights and my cameras and stuff just go offline. I'm like, oh well, shit. So then I text him, and like I just start relaying information to him because they're texting me. Oh yeah, the estimate's going to be 9:30, whatever. So back to what happened on your side.
I shit myself. Well, it wasn't. Luckily, it was more like a little liquidy squirt that didn't soak through the underwear.
Right.
But I text Sean. I'm like, you know what would be really annoying is if while your power's out, you shit yourself. So you're trying to clean up and you can't see anything.
I think I could find the actual text message. Hold on. Was it? Yeah, you were chatting with me on Facebook, I think.
The last time I shit myself was, not that I've ever fully shit myself, but I hadn't done cocaine in like years. Mm-hmm. And then I did a bunch of cocaine, or not even probably a bunch, but more like a half a gram. And I woke up, and I was probably drinking alcohol too.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Wait,
woke
hold on,
up
hold
like...
on. There's, I think you sent me a audio message here. Hold on.
Well, I woke up like in bed, like right when it happened. And so I had to like run to the bathroom or whatever. But it was luckily it was just a little squirt. It was probably from the baby laxative and shit.
Hold on. Let's listen to the message that you sent me.
I'm walking through the neighborhood right now. So there's like street lights are working and like Kroger's and all that shit. But I just heard like generators running in a couple of the houses. So it looks like it.
Yes. People need to know this.
Yeah.
And then the video.
Note to self.
Him roaming around my house with a lantern that probably immediately went dead.
He went to death.
It went deaf.
It lasted...
14 minutes and 33 seconds.
No, maybe like 45 minutes, but then it
Okay.
just went dead. And then the other lantern wasn't charged, but I added a ghost for that.
Yeah, Sean sent me that video.
You know what would really suck? Accidentally shooting yourself during a power outage. Also, do you have candles? And then, like, I just didn't respond to him saying that he shit himself. So then, like, later on, also, I shit myself. Just cleaning
For
it up.
clarification.
Yeah. Well, because I have to clarify, because, like, when I came out to Sean and told him I was gay, and I would tell him about every date I went on, for 2 years he thought I was just being wacky. And
This is true. We would talk about it, actually. Louis makes a lot of gay jokes.
Yeah. Well, it's like there was one day where, me, him, and Luke were hanging out here, and Louis like, well, I'm going off to fuck a gay guy, and then, he leaves, and I'm like, so what is he actually doing? Like, going to get drugs or something? He's like, no, he's going to fuck a guy. He just said he was going to fuck. You didn't know he was gay? And I'm like, well, he plays it off like a joke literally every time. Because you were playing it off every time you were talking about,
the joke was how
you weren't,
much
like,
information I was divulging.
Right.
No.
Normally, I got a date with a guy would be like what you normally say.
At that point, but at that point you weren't going into detail with your dates.
No, yeah.
No, not with at least not with me. You were just like, okay, I'm going out on a date with a guy. Like, you would say
Like
it
you
in
would
a
just say
way.
it sounds sarcastic.
He would say it in a way that was, it sounded sarcastic. That could be played off as a joke because it was like.
Well, but it's the same way I just told you I shit myself, though. It was the same tone, basically.
Well, and that first text message, which is why I didn't know whether to believe you or not. Until you actually just came out and said, also, I shit myself.
You know what it is, too, though, is like a lot of times, like, there's humor in actually being concise and specific because it's abrupt. Kind of
Yes.
like in the last podcast when I said, I was on a date with a guy who had a glass eye and sold underwear. That's totally true.
Yep.
But it sounds, weird. But it's like you can...
I'm like just soaking it in. I'm like, okay. But I communicate very similarly, too, in a way. Like, where I laugh at myself in my head. And, like, things are funny to me. And I like when people catch it. But they don't always catch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the worst is, like, I remember telling a woman I work with at this factory, the lines went down. And she was like, do you know what the problem is? I'm like, yeah, well, there's these little fucking gremlins, and they get in the machines, and they chip away at, like, the lines and stuff. And she's like, just went, and, like,
God.
gave me that look of, like, this guy's fucking nuts. And I'm like, no, I'm joking. I'm just, like, I was too convincing. Like,
Right. I hate when it falls flat like that. Or, like, they'll just blink at you. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell they're processing, like, how do I react to this
and then you gotta
crazy
say
person?
something real fast after
Yeah.
that so that it jars them out of it because it's like, I'm being judged right now.
I love dry humor, especially when somebody like believes isn't getting the joke and actually believes you, because now it's like, oh, now I'm dealing with a moron, so yeah, they deserve false information then.
The most
Like they
keep
deserve
it
to
going, make
think
it more
about me
ridiculous.
whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Because obviously if they think that shit, like whatever retarded shit came out of my mouth, then it's like, oh, okay, well then I don't really want to talk to you anyway, so you can think about me however you want.
Yeah, I hate when a good joke falls flat. And it's like one you can keep going to, and you could if you were around the right people. And then
The most embarrassing example of that, I remember I was in tech school for the Navy, and this one girl I would hang out with, like sort of, not like all the time, but we would kind of go out in a group and shit together. But I overheard her complaining about this, like, creepy guy, like, who kept trying to hit on her, but the way he hit on her was so pathetic, and apparently she's like talking
Was it
like
me?
yes, when you were in the Navy with me. Yeah. No, but the way he did it was weird. He was like, hey, I just want to let you know that I think you're very special, and you're really special to me, and this and that.
Oh, God.
So I, just to
No.
make her laugh, I went up to her. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know I think you're really special.
Right.
And then she goes, oh, well, I'm dating someone right now. And I'm like, no.
You missed it.
It's not me.
Yeah,
I was
and then
just
you gotta
trying
backpedal out of this
Yeah.
thing that should have been very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been... Oh.
I think
I'm
that's
sorry.
why certain people appreciate me at work, because I'll usually get it.
Yeah.
Like there's one guy who comes into work every day drenched in cologne. I'm not going to say his name, but one of the other guys at work just like started like kind of like making fun of him for it to his face, but he does like the dry delivery and stuff. So this dude like doesn't get it. So like there was like one point where like a bunch of us were just like standing around talking, and Cologne guy was there, and then this other dude walks up and he goes, "Man, it smells really fucking good over here." And then he walks off. The next day, Cologne guy goes up to him and is like, "Well, I mean, if you really like the way it smelled, like here," like he starts giving him like tips on cologne and shit. And it's like, "No, I was making fun of you."
Did he tell him that?
No, because
he was being
because
nice.
Cologne guy seems kind of sensitive,
Yeah.
so you didn't want to hurt his feelings.
One of the for some reason this made me laugh. There's two things actually Sean did that made me laugh, but we were talking about how
Only two in the entire time we've known each
no,
other.
because the way it came out, but it was the one we were talking about how much sugar is in all this everything and how bad all this stuff is.
No.
And Sean's like yeah, the worst thing in the world is orange juice. It's so loaded with sugar. And I'm like, yeah, but you can still drink a little bit. And he's like, no, even that, it's just too much sugar. And I go, yeah, but how do you get vitamin C? And he pauses for 2 seconds and goes, oranges. And I was like, oh. I'm like, I forgot. I forgot they are a fruit called orange. And then the other one was, we were talking about, I had like, one of my cousins was telling me about hair transplant or whatever stuff. And I was talking about how I had looked into it before, and it's like, it's so gory, especially what they used to do. They just peel a strip of flesh off the back of your head and sew it up, and then you always have to grow the hair long in the back of your head to cover up that scar and shit. And so we're talking about, because we're both bald, so we're talking about, just...
Wait, I'm
better,
bald?
Yeah. We're better, bald gracefully, this and that. But he went into this passionate speech about how toupees, everything. He's like, that's if you wear a toupee and you get hair plugs, you're a liar. But he was dead serious about it.
Well, everybody knows their soapbox, I guess.
That was a joke, obviously.
No, you were absolutely seriously saying if somebody wears a toupee or has gotten hair transplants, don't trust them.
God.
I remember we were in like Denny's.
Because I also like don't even remember saying any of that, so it's like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
Like, I don't think you realized how funny it was until I burst out laughing. Because, like, you had, like, a stone dead, like, you were totally serious.
He's, like, spitting out of his mouth and shit. Like,
I truly have, like, hate and vitriol for everybody who's ever worn it.
In all seriousness. No, but in all seriousness, though, like, there is some truth to that.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, if you want to discuss, like, especially in this era of trying to bring back the alpha male and the hyper-masculinity and everything, to me, there's nothing less manlier than worrying about your fucking hair in your 40s.
right.
Like what do you, like, especially if you're already married, and you know what I mean? It's like, what do you... you go out every day feeling like less of a person because your hairline's receding?
Right.
Like, get a hold of your life, man. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I never understood why people just didn't embrace the bald.
I mean, sometimes, like, people can't pull off the look. They have weird shaped heads. Like, I barely pull it off.
You have a Picard-shaped head.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a little
kinda
pointy, yeah.
But it's pointy in the wrong spot.
What do you mean?
So, because it's like pointy back here
Isn't
and not up here.
fucking,
so, like, I almost have
it's
like
the same as Picard.
So it's like it's Picard, but like a Cro-Magnon version, where it's like I have like a weird like lump here, and then like
It's like if Picard was dropped on his head.
No.
bit. I don't know.
No,
I will
like
say,
somebody,
like, he's got more of a
it's like
hexagonal shape,
it's like
pyramid,
they
prism thing going.
They didn't drop him on his head per se, but they like just kind of like pushed the top of his head a little bit. But like some people really can't pull off bald at all because of like just like the weird shape of their skull. So it's like, all right, like I kind of get it there, but like
German Scotch people, like people from Ohio, they all look like Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. Like he had that huge German head.
pull up a picture.
What do you know?
I know who the BT.
Yeah, but he had that angry German look, But his head was like, it looks like he's wearing a helmet, and so I always said like a lot of people.
Yeah, he
in
does
Ohio
kind
look
of have
it.
like, it's very pronounced here,
Yeah.
and then it kind of domes a little
Yeah,
bit. But
But it's like, I mean, like hair transplant surgery these days doesn't seem so bad. Like
I don't know. Talk
it's
to
still
some of those
just
guys
like- just
that did
like-
it in Turkey.
Yeah.
And they're having issues and dying.
No,
Oh,
the other
really?
problem though too though is like they found a way to be able to save more hairs and make them stick because a lot of times they would do hair transplants and a lot of them would fall out. They
That
wouldn't
kratom's
take or
starting
whatever.
to hit just right.
Oh yeah, really just the one?
Yeah, just the
Yeah,
one.
isn't you can feel the difference right with those? Like if my back is hurting me a lot, I'll pop like one or two of those and it's like a lifesaver.
It's nice, and I'm not getting like the anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
your leg shaking has slowed down a little bit. I'd say about 25%.
Your leg shaking slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, look at you with your ADHD, and you're not like being all weird and hyper.
Oh wait, but did you
Well,
smoke
I'm
any
also in
weed?
therapy for CPTSD, so that's been kind of helpful
What?
with my ADHD.
What's
Wait,
that?
no, slow down.
CPD.
It's
CBD?
PTSD, but with a C in front of it. So,
Oh yeah, we'll
Complex
not. We'll,
post-traumatic
we'll,
stress.
We'll not get into that.
no, that's fine. But
I mean, I'm
since
sure I
that,
got that. You know.
probably.
I mean, because like I've been, threatened to be slaughtered twice in my life by gangs of.
What?
Well, if you count the one group
Oh,
of people
yeah.
that with that
Sure.
shot someone to death, and then the other group of people who was a neo-Nazi cult that were
Yeah.
doxing me and shit. So like
Yes,
twice in my
and
life I've had to
harassing
like
your
look over
dad.
my shoulder. Well, and my whole family, yeah, but. Without that would be a whole thing, so we won't get it. Basically, just imagine
Your
being
dad is
doxed
getting
by
like
bad
phone
people.
calls.
Yeah.
Your dad's like getting phone calls, and he's just like, "Who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the wrong Louis. Go fuck yourselves." I love his dad.
Yeah.
First time his dad met me, he's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And he turns to Louis and he goes, "Hey, Louis, who's the Gavone?"
That means like a peasant or workhorse.
Yeah.
Like he basically was saying like Sean looked like someone who'd be working on a farm in Sicily,
Right.
carrying a plow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, if you come from a working class thing, it's a. I mean, I guess it's one of those things that could be used. Like if a snooty Italian person referred to you, another Italian, as a gavone, they're basically thumbing their nose up at you. But essentially, what they're saying is like you're a working class person who lacks culture or something like that. That's like the worst. What do you call it? That would be like lacking culture. That's a negative spin on it. But a more correct spin would just be you're working class, and if you're lacking in any culture, it's because you don't have access to the same educational institutions that the wealthy have. And which brings us back to the hair transplants, because I forgot to make this point. If you do get hair transplants, not only does it cost a lot of money, but you need a life that allows you to heal. Because during that
Right.
first couple months, you have to wear a hat, you have to
Yeah.
do special massages and shit, and they don't want you bending over ever. And it's like if you
Oh,
work in
for
a factory,
tension. Yeah.
yeah, or also it has to do with like the blood flow and
Yeah.
making sure
Yeah,
that the
we-
transplants keep.
Well,
So
I
you
could-
can't
so-
do that.
so
like,
I
if
can't-
you were a working
I-
class person.
I can't do it where I work. That's
Yeah.
for goddamn sure.
Yeah, you're moving around too much and like
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I try to move around as little as possible, but that's
It's a
because
factory,
of my
so.
it's because of my lifestyle.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's unavoidable though that type of work. So
Well, that's why we're doing this podcast.
to get hair transplants.
But we also learned recently what a quimby was,
Oh yeah.
because
I don't know what
it's one of those derogatory words for the gays
Mayor
that
Quimby.
that I always like. I heard it once, and then I was like just immediately like fascinated by that as like a derogatory term towards gay people.
Because it sounds so old timey.
But like I've never actually bothered to look it up, and like I was like talking to Louis about it. It's like, oh, because like we were just
oh, he was
you know,
like reading the different
we're,
definitions.
well, like we're
'Cause
like
it's-
talking about like the F word or something, and I'm like, oh, I always like the word quimby, and he's like, is that a derogatory term towards gay people? And I was like, I always thought it was something else. Let's look it up. So we looked up the definitions for quimby, and then one of them was
Which I think is the most apt definition. I think
Sure.
its original like term meant this.
yeah. So as far as it being a derogatory term, it literally means the guy in the middle of like a butt
Antagonist.
fuck, a butt fuck line.
Okay.
Oh no! I thought you were going to talk about the real, the different. I think this,
No.
most-
We'll get to that.
Okay.
But like, so like the guy in the middle of like a
Sandwich.
gay fuck sandwich
Yeah.
is the Quimby. But my favorite definition of Quimby is the guy who is like with an antagonist or a bully.
Okay.
So basically, like, you have like a bully who's like saying a bunch of insults, and then you have the guy who's like kind of like beside him but behind him
yeah.
going, yeah. That's a Quimby.
Yeah, which is great because that's like, into my opinion, that's a helpful term, because what do you call like a goon? And a
Right.
goon doesn't quite.
They don't talk. They
Goons
don't
can be
Well,
anything.
it's like I just love the idea of like somebody bullying somebody else and be like, yeah, you're nothing but a fucking Quimby, and then the guy behind him going, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, you gotta step up your game.
All right.
You're our sound guy, and
I-
also talking mostly through all this.
I can edit out any silence. I'm gonna get some more water, but just try to get her to come up with a. Oh, she hasn't told an embarrassing story.
Yeah. Have you
Shit
don't
myself
know,
in the last 2 weeks.
I don't know. Have you maybe peed yourself recently while
Yeah.
vomiting at work?
May have, yeah. Every heave, I got sick a couple weeks ago with whatever flu has been hanging around.
It's been decimating.
Yeah.
So
So basically, it's like a 1-day vomit fest.
like at my work, people have been off. No, I mean like people have been off sporadically for like the past 2 weeks because of whatever's going around, and it's like it's more than one thing. Like for some people, it is literally a cold. For some people, they actually caught the flu, which is really bad this year.
Yeah.
But like we've had 2 people end up in the hospital because of it. There was one guy who didn't come into work a week ago because he had a fever of 105, which
Right.
he should have been in the hospital for.
Yep.
One guy who ended up in the hospital actually ended up finding out that he has type 2 diabetes. So me and Mike went up to him and we were like, hey, welcome to the club. We
Right.
meet every Tuesday for pie.
So the way this thing hit me was I'm at work, fine, right? It's Thursday. And then out of nowhere, I got very nauseous almost halfway through the shift, which is very convenient, right? So I tell one of the guys at work, like, you might want to stay away from me. I'm really nauseous all of a sudden. I don't know if I caught whatever's going through my house or if I ate something wrong, because I had a shamrock shake that night, like previously, and I was like, I don't know,
I
maybe
still haven't gotten one.
I didn't know if it had upset my stomach.
I was going to try to get a Shamrock Shake today, and then I got Arby's instead, and I got their Andy's Mint Shake.
That sounds arguably better than a shamrock shake. So anyway, I'm at work, and my nephew comes up to me, and he's like, I need you to look at this part. And I'm like sitting there trying not to I'm like doing the thing where you're at that space where you're thinking about vomiting, but you can still
Like
talk
your mouth
yourself
is
out of
watering.
it. It's getting to the point where my mouth is watering. I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I give him some advice, and he's like, okay, I'll be back in a little bit. So I'm sitting there waiting for him to come back. And I'm waiting for him to come back. And time is starting to stop because I'm getting worse. So finally I decide, okay, I'm going to go run to the bathroom.
I
It's
love
like a
that.
quarter mile away because it's a factory.
I love that point in like an illness or something where like time starts to slow.
And that's
it's
where I was
weird.
at. So I'm like,
It's like when I
okay.
get. Well, it's what every time I've smoked pot.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'm going
Or-
to pack up and go to the bathroom. And so I start to go to the bathroom. I leave my machines. And then here he comes. Do.
Oh.
So I'm like, he's like, hey, can you look at this part? I'm like, sure. And I go back to the station where I was at. And then I look through like 2 dimensions. And I was like, hey, I think I'm going to throw up. And he starts laughing. And I stand up to leave. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, no, I'm really going to go throw up. I'll be back later.
She pulled a Louis.
And I did. And so I go running to the bathroom, like as discreetly as possible, trying not to panic and break into a sweat. Because I'm like, at this point, I'm just envisioning like pulling over and vomiting into basically anything or anyone that walks by. I don't care. But I made it to the bathroom just barely. And it's like The Exorcist. Like, it's projectile vomit. Everything I've drank, everything I've eaten And like with every heave, it is so hard that I'm not peeing my pants. I am peeing straight through my pants, like a hole punch.
Oh, like a whole, your
just
whole constricting, like,
just
yeah.
That's how every heave. And so by the time I'm done vomiting like a sprinkler, I look down, it's, I'm wiping up the toilet, and then I look down by my shoes, and I'm like, why is there a wet puddle there? And I was like, oh my God. And I had realized I peed through my pants. So then I'm like taking all this toilet paper, and I'm trying my best to like stomp it and like because at work they never give you like decent toilet paper. It's always one ply bullshit.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here like trying to wipe it all down, and I have like a moment where I'm like, oh God, I finally feel better. Like, this is the time I have to leave. So conveniently, it's like halfway through my shift, so I don't lose any. I only lose half a point. And I'm like, they're never gonna believe me, so I'm like telling my boss, I'm like, I gotta go.
Listen, kiddos.
I made a mess in the bathroom, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Listen, kiddos. All attendance policies from any workplace is fucking horseshit.
Well, we all know about this because you gave us eggs. Mm-hmm. The cage-free egg thing.
Yeah.
So I go to Kroger's. This was like, what, 3 weeks ago?
Oh my God, I was supposed to bring you duck eggs.
Oh, you got them?
Yeah, they just started laying. We have tons now.
But I went to Kroger's. They had no eggs. Mm-hmm. And then I told Sean about it, and then he was like, oh, that's because of that law. Mm-hmm. Michigan says, like, it has to all be cage-free.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they had
right around the same time the avian flu started hitting all the hatcheries.
They had things like notice, like, taped up there explaining the whole thing.
I thought it was something about sales or whatever.
Full, 8 by
it was
11.
Tiny. It was like a postcard.
No, it was a full-on 8 by 11 sheet.
It was
paper.
one of those like sticky notes,
It was barely a notice.
It was a full piece of paper typed out.
Shrunk.
Well, here's the thing, though. Well, I didn't
Not
get
at
that
all.
close because all the eggs were gone. But like, here's the thing. So yeah, you think, oh, the law just went through and Kroger's didn't have time to prepare. Mm-hmm. The law went through in like 2016.
Yeah.
Then they complained about it, so they gave the food distribution companies and everything until like 2020 to get it right, to like prepare for this.
So they had
2020 came around, they still didn't do anything, so they had to make an extension.
They had literally over a decade to correct the infrastructure issues that they knew were going to happen when this law finally went into effect, and they did nothing.
See, my understanding was that the 3 main hatcheries all came down with like the horrible avian flu that's been affecting all the chickens and starting to get over to felines and stuff.
But that was affecting certain states. I don't know if that was affecting Michigan.
Michigan normally gets their eggs from. Because I know, like, at Walmart,
I
we
think
got our...
it's
Well, I
chickens.
hear a legend
Yep.
that they get their eggs from the sky.
Like, at Walmart, when I worked at Sam's Club, Eggland's Best, I don't even know if that was actually in Michigan, because we would get all of our stuff... Well, it might have been Michigan.
Eggland's Best, owned by Bob Eggland.
Really?
I don't. There's that dry humor coming in.
But
I haven't noticed any difference because I eat all my eggs from
out of a bag.
Egg McMuffins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, out of a bag.
But
I just got this bag of eggs. Anybody want anything from my egg bag?
because I always
Dude
hated
behind the 7-Eleven selling eggs by the bag.
Mm-hmm.
They're all.
doesn't.
It's just like
none of them cracked.
like a paper bag just filled with like
broken eggs.
Yeah. Like no shut. Like they just cracked them into the bag.
Yeah.
It's just like all like dripping.
Then Shannon brings her eggs from real chickens.
Yeah, because the eggs
We're
you
not
get
gonna
at the
talk about
store
the fake chickens
don't
we
come
have.
from real chickens.
Yeah.
They
But-
come from them artificial chickens.
They come from backyard chickens, I'll say.
But every single egg I cracked and I think I had that cart because I didn't eat out of that carton the first week.
Yeah.
So going on
Yeah,
week
because
2.
like the day, but I think it was the day that she came over. You had bought like
Yes.
like one of those like massive like 18 packs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so it's like okay, well then like let's just put this in the fridge.
They say that you're not supposed to refrigerate them if they still have the bloom on them and the cuticle on them.
Oh, really? I don't even know anything. What the thing that threw me off is the eggs. Some of them were like dark green.
Yes.
The outsides, I should say.
Yeah. We have like rainbow colors for the eggs.
Yeah. But I never really seen that before. So
Oh.
I'm like, but then,
That's how green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
but what I noticed is every single one I cracked was the egg whites are like really like. I mean, I guess it's a gross term to use, snotty.
Yeah,
Like a thick,
a little bit.
mucusy, like, And that's like those eggs always taste the best because that's how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And every time I would get eggs from like Kroger's and shit, sometimes even the expensive
They're
ones,
all runny
it was like
and-
runny, like
yeah.
water. Like
I know, and they taste different.
Yeah, they don't taste as good.
They taste less hearty.
Yeah.
They taste waterier, and that's funny because
I noticed I would get
my eggs
sometimes
too,
I would get like a little bit of bloating in my stomach too when it looked like that, and I had to look it up online because I'm like, am I eating bad eggs? Did they go bad?
No.
And from what I discover online, it's like no, they should always be like snotty like that. They should never be just like they. Some people said they're bad, but
they're thicker. They've got more I don't know, minerals, nutrients. They're just denser.
Protein, yeah.
But I can't go back now. But I mean, like I will eat regular store-bought eggs if I have to.
That is
but
the saying, right? Once you go snotty eggs, you never go back.
I won't. I'm saying they cook differently. They whip differently. They just taste so much better.
Eggs.
But then I was also wondering too, because when I really started noticing the watery egg phenomena, it was like during COVID and shit, and it was after like places like Meijer and stuff, the 24-hour places, they shut down their midnight shift, like being open and stuff. And then they start trying to cram everyone to stock the shelves while you're trying to shop in the fucking middle of the day or in the morning. And I'm like, did a truck drop off a bunch of eggs and then no one was here to unload? Like have they been sitting out in the sun before they finally put them in,
So what should happen, like, because I worked at Meijer for like 3 months, and I remember there should be somebody in the receiving dock regardless. And if there's nobody to unload it, it'll just sit in a refrigerated truck.
Louis, hold off.
Oh, maybe I should call Lawrence.
You know what I find amusing? That nobody
distracted
else does?
driving? Yeah, I could talk about that all freaking day long.
Oh, we could talk about how you got that ticket for driving 70.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yes, the quota of corrupt cops.
No, I just want to point out he was going 70.
I was not going 70.
Also, the other night on our way home, I'm like driving through a local city that's notorious for people getting pulled over, and I was going the speed limit, and he was going at least 10 over. Through the downtown area, which is like 35, and he just like blasts past me.
No,
which is like right
I
in
know
front
exactly
of their,
what he's talking about. We were
right,
going down 14 Mile.
We were going down.
He left before me.
Yes,
because I was letting my car.
And we were going
up.
through, and we were going through Fraser. And
we were not going through.
Yes,
Fraser.
we were.
Because you want to know where? You want to know where?
You blasted past me right in front of the police station.
And where's the police station at?
In Fraser.
What street?
On 14 Mile.
What crossway? You should know this.
Garfield.
No.
Yes.
Closer to Hoover.
No, it's on Garfield.
Okay, you go down.
Well, if it's by Hoover, that's more like Warren, right?
Exactly. That's my whole point. Fraser Police Department is on 14 and Garfield.
That's what I'm talking about.
We were by 14 and Hoover.
No, we were by 14 and Garfield. And you blasted ahead of me, and you were you right at
because you were
stopped
because you were stopped at the light, and I was still going, and I was not about to try and kill my brakes.
No.
In the snow.
No, it wasn't. There was no.
There was.
There wasn't.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, it was. It was snow.
Yeah,
and you were. Yeah, and I was still going the speed limit, and you were still going like 10 over. Because I remember you blasting right past me. Like I got up to speed, and then you just went boom. And then you almost your brakes almost failed at Grossbeck, because like I saw you sliding.
Okay, so I sped by you past Garfield.
Yes, in the snow, in the middle of a city that is notorious for pulling people over. And you were going 10 miles over the speed limit, where the city's basically a speed trap.
Yeah, because it goes from 35 to 45 in a matter of less than 100 feet, I would say, between one speed sign from the other. Because you got the police station, the fire station, you got that park, and the 35 mile per hour.
Oh, I know what area you're talking.
You know
about.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where they have the carnival at every year on 14.
Yeah, that is their downtown, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like also it's like it was like snowing everywhere, so like I don't know why you would be going over 35 to begin with. Especially when like I have front wheel drive, so I'm like relatively okay. But I still go like really slow in the snow. And I know for a fact he has back wheel drive.
Yes.
Which means that like he has to be extra careful.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
well, this goes back
fuck
to,
it.
Well, see, what he fails to realize is that I try to get the car
about.
up to speed so I can keep going and that I don't fishtail because...
Well, yeah, if you hit your brakes, then... You know.
Then I'm going all over the place, right. And I've learned
from
driving...
to speed.
But then he still had to slam on his brakes when he got to gross spec because it was a red light.
Well, see, here's the thing. Because that light over there turns green for what, a whole 3 seconds before
like
it
a half a
switches
second.
back?
But like...
So it's like... Conditions like we're driving, obviously.
But that's like all the more reason to drive.
Right.
That's all the more reason to drive slowly.
I'm not disputing that. The problem that I have is that coming back to this, I had the same situation happen to me when I was driving down another mile road, going the regular speed limit, hit my brakes, and the brake went all the way to the floor. Now, if anyone's been in that kind of situation, you hope that there's no one in front of you, like what we were dealing with. And thank God that the one time when that did happen in my old Thunderbird classic car, well, it was. I mean, it was old, but still a classic. And yeah, when that happened,
did it still brake a little bit when you went all the way to the floor?
It braked just a tiny bit.
I've had my car do that before, where the brakes were so blown out.
Right, but all right. Well, usually, like when your brakes start to go bad, you know, they start grinding.
Yeah.
You know, you hear metal on metal. It was working perfectly up until I got to that.
Well, you know what happens is I think when the pad falls out, or if it blows out, then you start leaking brake fluid.
And that's exactly what happened because it was working perfectly fine until I got up to that light and saw, okay, it's turning yellow. Slow down. And I barely pushed the damn brake down, and it went all the way to the floor. And they ended up telling me when I went to the mechanic, "Oh yeah, your brake line busted." I'm like, "Yeah, you think I could have figured that out when I had to do Fred Flintstone with my brake?"
I drove like a whole week like that once.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, well, I had to prejudge everything like 150 feet in advance. So I had to go a certain speed, but then I had to be prepared to drive off onto a shoulder immediately, like especially when I was on the freeway.
Oh my god! Oh, this was when you were driving the.
Was it the Buick? I think
it might have been the Buick.
Oh, yeah,
like towards the end of that.
Sorry,
because like I remember, like there would be times you'd be coming back from Toledo.
No, this was when the Toledo thing. I was fine with the brakes. This was when I was still working.
You were fine with the brakes until the car just decided to die on you.
Yeah.
Just get a call at like 2 o'clock in the morning and be
a
like,
couple rods. Or
yeah, something. I'm over by Rouge River.
Yeah, that was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think
you were following back, and like the car would not go above like 40 miles an hour. And
didn't we eventually just ditch the car?
It. Yeah.
It's like I followed behind him for like a few miles, and then I kept on dying on him, and then eventually he just said fuck it, and he just got in my car.
You're right when we were.
And then I made
him
listen to Tom Lear all the way back.
Yeah, then I had to quickly buy a piece of shit beater over that weekend because I had to go right back to work. So, like, yeah, that sucked.
And then you got your Fiat.
Yeah.
When a purchase that I'm sure you've never regretted.
Not for the first 3 years.
First 3 years were good. After that.
I like how he finally gets it running and then somebody steals it and torches it. That's another fucked up phone call to get at 3 a.m.
Oh, you want to talk about fucked up phone calls you get at 3 a.m.?
You called me when it happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I was with my friend Ozzy. She ended up taking me back.
Yeah, you were like, I'm like, do you need me to come get you or anything? And you're like, no, I'm all right. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I just get a call at like 3 a.m. Yeah, I'm in downtown Detroit, and somebody stole my car. I'm like, what? Why?
You want to know
He's
what's
like,
so
I don't
annoying?
know.
So I called the cops,
and I realized they're never going to show up because it's Detroit. But I gave them the make and model of my car, and I think even like the license plate and everything. My car had already been found and towed by the time I was calling the police. It's found on fire on the side of Woodward and towed. And they never said, oh, let me look that up. Oh, we just found that car. Nothing. Like, they never, like, called me back, whatever. When I called the next day to try to...
How many ukuleles did you have in that car?
Luckily, or none. But all my CDs, like, my good CDs were in there, and, yeah.
Well, nobody uses CDs anymore, so it's probably for the best.
Well, there's all, like, Sinatra and shit, so it's not like anyone would steal them. Yes, I can imagine just some, like... young punk kid. Oh shit, he got Sinatra. Yeah, I'm gonna take this. All those CDs too, by the way.
This motherfucker's listening to Dean Martin.
All those CD cases were smeared with coke because I was constantly breaking coke up on them, and
oh my god.
So yeah, there's so much cocaine residue on all these CDs for Dean Martin.
So Gary Busey ended up stealing your car.
Right. To lick my CD covers.
Actually, that's within the realm of possibilities.
That's
because
why I said
it was a Fiat that was stolen and then torched for no reason.
Yeah.
And one of them CIA Fiats.
Well, I mean, I still think that.
What do you want from me?
I still wonder if that was a targeted thing, like considering what was going on at the time, but.
Yeah, nowadays
we'll not get into that.
Well, nowadays on these new cars, I mean, hell, you got, especially if you owe money to a bank or a loan company or whatever, or something like that. Even if you try to like legitimately hide the car, I mean, they got Find My Car, you know, whatever the hell.
Oh yeah, my car's got like low jack built right into it.
Low jack, thank you.
You know that they have laws about the repo people. Guys don't follow the laws at all, and the cops don't care to enforce the laws. They're not allowed to repo your car in like a mall parking lot or at your work.
Yeah, you're on private property.
Yeah, you're only allowed to do it like in your own driveway.
Yeah, as soon as you pull off that lot, yeah, they can follow you basically wherever. Even I think at some point even hook up to you while you're actually still driving. Yeah, I don't know if that's technically legal, but again, I come back to the point of YouTube. I mean, you see some crazy videos on
Did you
YouTube.
see the video of that guy who got his truck repossessed and then he went and stole the
repo truck?
Yeah, he steals a repo truck. And his truck wasn't fully on the thing, so it's like he gets in the repo truck and the guy's like trying to stop him and he pulls away and he ends up like hitting 3 or 4 parked cars along the side, and then he takes a turn and then you just see his truck just tip over off of the thing and just like completely like roll over and get smashed to shit. And it's like, well, how long is he gonna get fucking detained for that one?
Yeah.
Karma's a bitch.
Yeah,
that's like how many counts of vandalism?
Yeah.
Hey, it's real life Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Stop throwing assholes at me.
What do they call those guys that fuck about bounty hunters or whatever?
Oh, like dog. The bounty hunter.
What's the official word for that? Or the
Bondsman.
title? Yeah. They're only supposed to make arrests in public, not arrest, but whatever they do, in public or at your own home. And I guess they can technically they can kick your door in at your own home. But they're not supposed to do it at anyone else's home or on private property or whatever. And we used to have to tell like these like bounty hunters to get, like when I did security at the mall, they were constantly coming in there, and then they would, I know the chief of police and I'm allowed, and they would just try to muscle you.
It's like, don't care, you're on private property, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, but it's another example of them, just like the repo people, breaking the law and the cops being on their side no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, see, the difference is between the two is that in order for police to actually come into your residence without being invited in, they have to have a warrant and have to follow proceedings. Now, when it comes to bail bondsmen, they don't work for law enforcement. They work for the bank. So technically, they don't have any rules that they have to follow.
They still have to follow the law, though. If like the only reason why they don't, the only reason why they are allowed to,
right? But what I'm saying is, if they know that you're there,
the only reason why they're allowed to work in a legally gray area is because the people who would enforce those laws just allow it to happen.
Well, here's an example. If a bounty hunter comes into a mall to arrest some guy for committing the crime of not paying back the $1,000 they borrowed, and that guy turns out to be a whack job and has a gun on him, and there's a fucking shootout in a mall, and people are getting clipped over that. That's why you have those laws.
Yes.
Because you're basically cornering a fucking rat, and you have no idea what they're going to do.
Right.
I never figured out the dark web stuff.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
Silk Road. That was the one that...
a bag of rusty razors.
I think they gave that guy life in prison.
Oh, the Silk Road guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Which I think is too extreme.
I don't even know enough about it. I don't know enough about like what happened there and stuff.
There was a guy who was attracted to animals. He was a he was a zoophile advocate, and he came from like a wealthy family.
Was his name Mr. Hands?
No, but I think Mr. Hands was related to that. I think
Oh no!
It might have been. I don't know if it was his barn.
Mike, don't listeners do not look up Mr. Hands. Don't do it.
Three guys were involved in that. He was like pimping out a horse, I think, and Mr. Hands was the one that got his bowel punctured or whatever during the sex act. But
Mike has no idea what we're talking about. My sweet summer child.
Well, this guy who was a zoophile advocate, he got busted for trying to smuggle cocaine into Canada. He ran away from he had made like $5 million with some kind of a website, but then he got sued and like lost all his money because like something with the website. But basically he kept committing multiple crimes where he was getting busted for drugs, busted for zoophilia, busted for violating his probation, just crossing the border illegally from the U.S. into Canada multiple times. And the guy probably only did a total of like 2 to maybe 3 years total of prison. And it's like, how does this happen? Because you would think that the first time you got busted smuggling cocaine into Canada, you would automatically think 10 years, like for a normal person.
Some countries, they're so strict on that stuff. I mean, like Thailand, that's one of the strictest.
South Korea too. Why is it abuse to lick a dog's balls but not to cut it off?
The way you're looking at me right now just makes it that much creepier. Like, I know what you're talking about. I know you're talking about, like, getting a dog fixed.
I'm just saying.